Loneliness is a struggle. It's one of those things that either creeps up on you or follows you everywhere you go. And it's not just a physical thing, it's mental too. Loneliness sometimes doesn't come from not having others around, but many times it comes from feeling like you don't belong anywhere, or nobody's seeing what you see, or nobody shares your perspective. When I was a young little fella, I really struggled with loneliness myself. I just never felt like I fit in with other people. And it's weird because I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I thought that friends were just something that you magically made. Just you just meet somebody and boom, that's it. But as I got older, I just learned to be more comfortable with myself and just embracing being solo in every way. I like it this way, but I understand many aren't there yet. So the first thing I want to dive into is the struggle of being desperate. Thing is, there's so many people who enjoy projecting loneliness onto other people. It illustrates something I realized a long time ago. Tons of people make decisions out of fear, scarcity, and desperation. Most men lead lives of quiet desperation. I remember sitting down in my college cafeteria between classes, like thinking about this quote. Desperation makes you, well, desperate. It makes you irrational. Makes you make choices that you don't really want to make just to have something or somebody around. So I think ideally, identifying why you feel lonely is the main thing. Is it because you don't have a girl? Trust me, that's not a guaranteed solution. Is it because you're bored? Is it because you want to share some experiences? Maybe it's something positive. Whatever the reason may be, the solution is not to saddle yourself with a bunch of extra BS and things that will not be beneficial towards you long term just to, again, have something or somebody around, or just to give yourself something to do. I like to describe loneliness as an empty canvas. You still have a chance to paint and draw and design your life the way you want it to be. A relationship is not going to solve your problems. It might solve your loneliness problem temporarily, but oftentimes loneliness is a void within you. And when you try to fill it with somebody else, it can lead to dependency on that said person. Fear of loneliness is what makes a man allow a woman to walk all over him. Fear of loneliness stops you from leaving bad relationships. Fear of loneliness allows desperation and lack and scarcity to enter all your decision making. You know how many dudes are in relationships or marriages with the woman sitting right next to him and they still feel lonely? A lot. I think a lot of men make this mistake of thinking that loneliness only plagues men who are single. Nope. Because again, loneliness is not a physical thing necessarily, it's mental as well. And I'm telling you, bro, ain't nothing worse than seeing a guy react when a woman, especially one he was attached to, leave him. Attachment issues, codependency, and vulnerability tend to creep up on guys who don't take the time to find comfortability and purpose within themselves. If you want to know what it's like when a guy is desperate or over-reliant on having a woman around, look no further than those dudes who get married 4 or 5 times. Again, there's a pretty big logical leap from, hey, maybe an ideal woman could improve my life and, really be huge for me, to let me scoop up a chick real quick so I don't end up alone. It's two completely different things. Learning to embrace solitude, simplicity, and peace has helped me so much, which is why I always encourage it. Everything starts in the mind, and I think one of the biggest reasons men have feelings of loneliness is due to the expectation of what masculinity is. In society, men are expected to be strong, emotionless, sacrificial, wealthy, you name it. We're expected to take all these different hits and continue going. And oftentimes you can't even talk about it without feeling like, or it being perceived as, you're complaining. Now, some of these characteristics aren't necessarily bad things, right? But the problem is that many things in life take time and failure and wisdom to acquire. It's easy to feel alone on that journey. So eventually it creates an environment where men still feel lonely even when they're around others, mostly because he feels like he still has a burden to perform to whatever standards are imposed on him. Sometimes it feels like loneliness, which I feel like I keep saying, but other times it feels like desperation or anxiety or disappointment. Men everywhere have individual struggles that are tough to discuss, but I feel like that needs to change. A lot of guys feel lonely based off their ambitions. There's a reality that as we go through life, most people and their friend group tends to dissipate. And this is especially true when you want to build or advance or do things outside the box. It's easy to have friends who don't like being productive. When it's time to have fun and turn up, everybody shows up to be seen. But when it's time to put in real work, it becomes a ghost town. There's the fact that people just get busier over time, simply due to the phases people go through in life. Whether it's due to family or job obligations, things just change, and it becomes difficult to keep in touch. So I can understand it from a few different angles, especially if you're starting from a bigger circle. I think a good solution to this is understanding that everyone in your life plays a role, if you want to look at it that way. Some people just aren't meant to be doing serious business with, and others aren't meant to have fun with. Now, personally, I don't have the experience of being this super connected guy or extroverted socialite. I don't know what it's like to lose that status, but I can definitely understand the perspective. So with all that being said, let's talk about a good solution in my opinion, the good old internet. And yeah, I know, but look, some people don't realize how lucky they are to be able to find people who think like them, who don't live in the same area as them. Before the internet, you were limited to people who you worked with or lived around, or maybe went to school with, or maybe talking to a girl you're dealing with and she's probably not interested in all that stuff you're talking about, video games and whatever it is. And so these days, you can share your thoughts with people, share notes that go back to what you were doing online right from your phone. And it's super underrated. Personal interests like hobbies and lifestyle and TV shows, movies, video games, sports, business, whatever it is. Obviously, there are some negative effects regarding socialization due to the internet. People tend to not talk to each other as much, and social skills tend to be on the decline from what many people are saying, but it is what it is. I still think it's a positive for the most part. Everything is right in front of you, 24/7 on demand. You just gotta reach out to get it. Don't neglect the power of having a community online. It's a powerful tool that I still leverage every day. Loneliness can be an empty feeling, but truth be told, you can still use it to your advantage. Think about it. You're essentially a blank canvas. I said it before, but you can still design your life and build it based on how you want it and not what's already there. For example, if you're a single guy with no obligations, you can do pretty much whatever you want to. You can get up, you can pivot, you can move, you can do all these different things. You're not anchored by anything. And your cost of living is way lower than what it would be otherwise. You can still chase the things you desire. You know how hard it is for a guy with a wife and kids to just walk off and quit his job or move? How difficult it is to test or try things on a whim? And in most cases, everything is tied up for them. But guess what? You can do everything that they pretty much can't. And you can learn to enjoy the time you have to yourself. Most guys don't truly understand how much freedom they have. Hell, most guys don't even want freedom. They just want something to control them. But yeah, man, honestly, I believe that being alone is not the worst scenario you can land yourself in. Being around other people, going through the motions, and still feeling lonely is much, much worse. This is why I always say the solo life is beautiful. Your life is still a canvas right now, man. Take advantage of it. It's best not to let the idea of loneliness scare you. And even if it's not just an idea, but your actual reality, just embrace the things you can do to fill the gaps. Some people wish they could be alone with minimal or no responsibilities. So the goal is to create a mental safe space for yourself in just whatever way you do it. Sure, it might be loneliness right now, but it can become self-sufficiency in the future. If I can do it, then you can too. So yeah, man, if you made it this far, as always, drop a like and leave a comment below, sharing your thoughts. Really appreciate y'all, man. My channel has been growing a lot recently, and just want to say thank you to everybody that's supported so far, or shared and DM me and all those things. You guys really motivate me and inspire me to continue doing what I'm doing. So yeah, just want to give a shout out to y'all. So you know what I always say, be sure to check out my newsletter where I share notes similar to this about the solo life, and subscribe for more.